So here we are, we're back, it's Sunday. We're going to start with a poem. How many of you have a copy of the Science of Mind text? Yeah, most of us do have that in our library, don't we? Well, this is in the very front of it, so it's earnest, essentially earnest, yeah. It's a poem. It's called Peace Be Unto Thee, Stranger. So as I read this, I encourage you to just kind of go to that inner plane. You can close your eyes if you want to. You don't have to. Allow your mind to sort of bring an image of this up. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my house. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit, rest, and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit. Drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Isn't that an outstanding little message from Ernest? Yeah, he's phenomenal, isn't it? So when you hear that, do you find yourself there? You find yourself conspiring with the universe or conjuring up in your mind what that looks like, what that would feel like, how warm that would feel and inviting. Yeah, you know, we're doing that thing all the time, that creation thing. It's going on, whether we are aware of it, whether we are on default, we are always asking. So today we're going to talk about asking. I think it's pretty interesting that this is always going on. It's always going on, even if we're sleeping, even if, like I said, we're on default, we're really not conscious of what we're putting out there. We are putting forth something to the universe. And the universe, we know this, always has one answer, and that answer is yes. Whatever it is that is going out from us is what is going to come back to us. So if we will be attentive, we will see that we are bringing things into form that are a little more consciously designed, if you will. Asking is a big thing. We find it in Christian scripture and Christian literature a lot. In Matthew, he talks about, whoever wrote that, we don't know if it was a he or a she, some of the ideas about who wrote what in the Bible, yeah, well, believe what you want to, okay? It's interesting. At any rate, in Matthew, we are told, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you shall find. We find it again in Luke. Let's see here if I can get my page to turn. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. And this isn't just in the Christian literature, y'all. It goes all the way back. It's in the Torah. It's in the Talmud. It's all over the place. Even our current, if you will, New Age folks talk about it. When we read Esther and Jerry Hicks read Abraham, they are always talking about asking. They're always telling us that we are always sending these rockets of desire out into the future. And that those things are setting up camp, if you will, and kind of calling to us, come on, be here now. Come forward in your expansion. Let's create something new and different today together. How many of you, since you got up this morning, whatever time that was, have had a thought to yourself, gosh, it would be nice if I had fill in the blank. It could be any one of a million things. Perhaps you like a new car, or a different place to live, or a different lover, or the same lover changed. Who knows, whatever, right? Or a pet. Or a cat that didn't wake up at 4 a.m. like Betty's, okay?
Sometimes it was 2 this morning.
Oh, it was 2 o'clock this morning. Wow, this cat was on its toes, wasn't it? For a lot of us, it might even be more money. It could be better health, right? How many of you have had a thought like that this morning? Okay, well, when you put that out there, you know, you are putting something out there. You were sending forth a rocket of desire. And here's the thing that's really cool. If you study that first part of the Science of Mind text, if you go back and read Ernest, he says the same thing Abraham says. He says that when we get an idea in mind and we grab hold of it and we begin to focus on it, we are literally, our consciousness is literally going forward into some future expression and then saying, come on, let's play. Let's party. Let's do this. You've got this idea. And you know, to go back to Abraham, this is what I think is really cool. You know, if you focus on science of mind, it's really all about creating, okay? And the result, the cause and effect. But in Abraham, it's all about that creative process. And how, have you ever felt that excitement when you knew that you were bringing something forth in your life or in this world, and it just thrilled you no end? Isn't that an amazing feeling? Have you ever been on fire with that? Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said, he must have just gotten out of bed when he wrote this, he said that he fairly sizzled with zeal to go forth and do the things, basically, that were his to do. Amazing, right? Pretty powerful stuff. So a part of us goes, come here, glasses. I think I sat on them and they're not behaving now. Okay. Yeah. A part of us goes forth and it begins to be the body, the form, the structure of what it is that we want to have show up in our lives. As we do this, we create this thing that Ernest Holmes referred to as a mental equivalent. A what? A mental equivalent. What is that? Well, you know, the best analogy that I know of is if you've ever watched someplace where they're building a metal building. Have you ever watched them build a metal building? It's pretty incredible, actually, okay? It all comes in, well, it probably doesn't come in boxes. If it's big enough, it comes in, you know, 18-wheelers, and they have a crane to get it off the 18-wheeler and all that kind of thing. But once upon a time, I had a dog. I know that freaks some of you out now that I have cats. But I had a dog, and he was getting old, and so rather than kick him out and make him live outside, I went out and I bought a storage unit, one of those metal buildings, okay, and I actually put that together for the dog. Now, what's the first thing you're going to do anytime you're going to build something? You're going to have some kind of written plan, aren't you? Before we did anything, when we put that thing together, we found the paperwork, okay? And yes, it came with a parts list, okay? Which was, you know, you can go with that or not. It might be interesting if you don't, okay? See what you come up with. And then you also have a plan. You know, these are the pieces for the roof, these are the pieces for the side, these are the doors, this is the framework of the floor. Actually, that building didn't have a floor. It was meant to sit on whatever you sat it on. If it was a bigger building, if we were going to build something like, there's one out there on 441, there's the lighthouse. You know where the lighthouse church is? I don't know the correct name of it, but they've got a lighthouse in front of it. When they went to build that building after they created plans, what do you think they came up with next? Well, the first thing they did was they had to create a foundation. They literally had to dig down into the ground and place footers and create a basis for that building so that once it stands, I don't know, how tall is a building? I'm not a contractor. 50 feet in the air, 100 feet in the air. It's anchored to the ground. And the same is true when we go out here and decide to create something. If you don't have something to anchor it to, if there is nothing in your subconscious that tells you that you can have health or wealth or incredible love or the most perfect cat in the universe, okay? Yeah, I have yet to see one of those. I'm not sure they exist. Perfect is kind of one of those words, you know, that you perfect, right? Yes, in the cat's world, you're perfect. It's perfect. Maybe not in yours, but you can see that you've got to have something there to attach it to, or what happens? The first foul thought that comes through, that whole thing goes away. Have you ever read the stories and seen the stories of people who win the lottery? Only a year later, they're destitute. They're literally living in the streets. There wasn't anything to attach that building to, guys. There was no foundation there. Okay? Yeah. There was no clarity around knowing how to be a person who has that kind of wealth, who has that kind of security, who understands how to manage that and how to support the world, you know, both with it and maintain for themselves. You can't yank somebody. Let's just say we went out on the street tomorrow and we grabbed somebody and we took them to Western and we put them in a graduate level math class and said, now teach. They don't have the foundation to do it, do they? They can't, okay? Because the underlying stuff isn't there. So anytime we are creating something, we've got to have a foundation. If we're building a building, we have to have the foundation, the footers, the basis for that building, okay? The other thing we have to do is look at what's lurking in the subconscious, because there may be things there that aren't, like I said, going to support that structure once we get it created. I had a friend one time, this was kind of funny actually, in our circle of friends. He was an interesting character. He was known to be a very interesting character, and he was not considered to be the most intelligent. I mean, he made rash decisions and kind of would jump into things without thinking about them too much. He bought a house over in Leicester, and a couple weeks later, another friend of ours who had like a large equipment business said, you know, he hired me to come over with my backhoe and all my land moving equipment, all that stuff, okay, and tear up all around the house. Because after he got the house and he moved in the house, he realized there was something wrong. And in the basement there was lots of moisture and mildew, and what they discovered was there was a spring under the building. So he had to have people come in and trench the whole yard and figure out where the spring came from, find its, you know, a point of origin away from the building and divert it. Yeah, you know, thousands of dollars later, okay? Yeah, I know, it was pretty interesting. But those of us who knew him were kind of like, yeah, well, it figures, you know, because that's how much we would think about things, you know? And when we watched this guy, that's how much he would, you know, go out and think about what he was doing and kind of make a good estimate of how he was going to go about it and what he was going to do and what it was going to look like, and, you know, whether the house was worthy, whether it was something he really wanted to spend some money on. It was a pretty interesting thing, okay? So you don't want to have to reroute the spring. You don't want to have to change the plan after you get it going. So we begin to build this metal building. What happens after we get a foundation? They begin to actually erect this metal structure, right? It's kind of like a skeleton or a framework, and that's what everything else is going to attach to. If we don't have that framework there, then we don't have much in terms of stuff for things to attach to, do we? It's not going to work out well. So we got to have all of that. When we are creating something new in our lives, it might be a job, it might be a relationship, it might be a better situation with a family member, it might be a new car. It doesn't matter what it is, really. We have to have some foundation, we have to have the skeleton, we have to have the mental equivalent, we have to understand that as that comes to us, we're going to have to change in here to meet it, right? And we have to have something else too. We have to have the belief that any of this or all of this is possible. If we don't believe that we have the capacity to create things, what will we create? well, a house that needs a spring rerouted, basically. The same kind of thing, won't we? Yeah, the same kind of situation. Something that's not very well thought out, and on down the road, it'll be like, ew, this isn't working, you know? Some people have children that way. Oh, I want a baby. You know, like, do you realize they require, parenting and food and a home and all those incredible things? Yeah, it's a pretty tall order, isn't it? Yeah. So as we can begin to create, as we begin to focus on something that we're going to bring into our worlds, and we start to think about this, how this will look, how this will feel, how this will interact with different parts of our lives, what happens? Energetically, we already said we're sending things out there kind of to a future space and time, and they're beginning to pull us forward. Come on, come here. Let's do this. Let's build this. Let's have this. Let's see this manifest in the world. Whatever it is, a condition, again, it doesn't really matter. It might be a physical situation for us if we're facing a dilemma that's uncomfortable, in the medical or physical plane. But whatever it is, it's beginning to call to us. As that happens and you get engaged with it, what do you feel? What kinds of things do you feel? Just say. Feel excited? Excitement. Anticipation. Yeah. Fear. Yeah, certainly. And you got to deal with that, don't you? Okay? It's kind of like a crack in the foundation, of your building. If you don't deal with it before you get the building built, you could have a real issue on down the line. Yeah, very, very good point. But what happens is things begin to get more intense. Can you feel that? When you sit down and dream, what happens inside of you? Do you get excited? Yeah. Okay, we're going to do some creating. But before we move into that, I want you to think about something. How many of you remember being a little child? No, I'm serious, really. How many of you remember being a little child? Yeah. Almost all of us have memories from childhood. Some of us, it might be harder to remember, okay? Depending on the childhood or how long ago it was, or whether we've thought about it lately or whatever, okay? But just for a moment, I want you to think about something, and it doesn't necessarily have to come from childhood, but a lot of times kids are a whole lot more amenable to what we would call in our adult world make-believe, okay? So think for a time in your life when you were in that space of creating something or playing or just fully immersed in being, and it was just blissful. I can remember being a little girl in my parents' home, growing up in Maryland. And at Christmas time, we had one of those reel-to-reel audio players. You'll know what I'm talking about. Those of you who have gray hair will remember. A lot of people nowadays, my kids wouldn't know what I was talking about. Okay, but at Christmas time, we had audio tape of Christmas music. And after dinner in the evening, my father would go down in the basement, and I have no idea. He must have had speakers in the house somewhere. I don't remember where they were. But he would go down and turn that music on, and he and my mother would sit in the living room and listen to Christmas music. It was like a ritual that we did every year. Well, I would wait until my mother was finished in the kitchen, the dishes were done, and the lights would be turned out. She would go sit with my dad, and I would go in the kitchen. And I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I would begin to dance. Okay? You know that thing, dance like nobody's watching? There ain't no way you're going to get me to act like that now. Well, maybe you probably will, because I just don't care anymore, But yeah, okay? It's an egoless state. It's a place of pure joy and pure knowing, okay? So think about a time, and if you can't remember a time for yourself as a child like that, think about a time when you got excited, when you knew the world was changing, that the universe was just conspiring to bring you what you wanted to see. And you felt that thrill, you felt that excitement. That's what we are, okay? That's that stuff. that energy stuff that we are. It's fabulous, isn't it? I love it. Yeah. If I had found that 40 years ago, my life would be different. Wouldn't have needed drugs, okay? Yeah. It was really funny. I went to a workshop yesterday. Somebody asked, have any of y'all ever had any energy work? And there was a young gal there who might have been about 24 or 25, and she said, I've done acid. And you know, those of us with gray hair just cracked up. You know, it was great. Okay. But so, you know, what you want to do is get in that place where it can't happen, doesn't exist in your mind anymore. Where the idea that you have to struggle or strain or sweat for anything is just not even there, okay? You want to get in that place where you understand that all you have to do is put out and be clear. That sounded kind of weird, did it? All you have to do is get clear on what you wish to see, okay? And live in the miracle of it. And the universe simply has no way to keep that from you, okay? We are so powerful. We are so potent, okay? Yeah. So get in that place, all right? Can you move yourself to that place? Can you think about what it was like as a little kid to dance in the shadows when nobody was watching? What it felt like as a teenager to fall in love for the first time. And there might have been that element of fear, but you know, sometimes fear is nothing but excitement. Yeah, it's just a little different backside of it, shadow side of it or something. So get yourself in that place as much as you can, and then think about something that you really want to see in full fruition in your life. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, it could be more money. It could be more love. It could be a more dynamic expression of physical health. It could be the recognition that you don't have to get old, and you don't have to die, and you don't have to feel less than or anything like that unless you agree to it, okay? It truly, we make this up as we go along. Do you understand? Okay? I love, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. Maybe somebody in here can. He wrote the book, The Hell I Can't. It was the guy who had contracted E. coli in his spine. You know who I'm talking about? 28 or 42, some ungodly number of surgeries later. And he just kept telling him, you don't understand, this will not kill me. He made the decision, basically, okay? And the universe kind of gave him a run for his money, you know? And he's still alive today. He's phenomenal. I can't even think of his name right now. Yeah. But he realized halfway through that we make it up as we go along. The last time I heard that same guy speak, his name is not coming to me, that's really pathetic, was in Asheville. And he talked about, at one point, he had, I don't know the correct term for it, but he had a colostomy bag. He had a large part of his intestinal tract taken out and then had a colostomy bag. Was, you know, fitted with that or whatever, okay, because his body had gotten so sick that those parts of his anatomy had rotted away, basically. And he had realized that it was only a matter of getting clear up here, and he could regrow that. He could bring that back into form, and he did it. He actually went back to the surgeon who did the original surgery and had himself put back together, okay? Yeah, you know, who said only lizards can grow tails? So, okay, get in that childlike space. Remember, I think it's another, who is it? Is it Matthew? It is Matthew, okay? Remember, truly, I tell you that lest you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. What is the kingdom of heaven? It ain't someplace you're going when you croak, okay? It's supposed to be this right here, right now world, okay? Yeah, this is it right here. So get in that consciousness, the consciousness of a child, and get in that awareness that you can bring forth anything you damn well desire, okay, and set your mind to. And pick something. What do you want to create? What do you want to work on? It could be a world of peace. It could be, more money so you had it to share, okay? I know sometimes I think, well, it would be wonderful to have more money. And if I had more money, oh my gosh, I would give some to my kids, okay? I would give some to my friends, I would set up some really cool things out there for people who don't seem to have as much, okay? And just make things available, Why not? The whole idea of this belongs to me and not you is like so ego. It's just so, let's go, get over it. Get over it, okay? We're all one. It's all here right now. So figure out something you want to create. Because you're going to go home with a little assignment in a few minutes, okay? Whatever that thing is, get it in your mind's eye. Or get something that represents that in your mind's eye. And once you've got that, okay, then close your eyes. Get a good picture of it in your mind. Because we're going to start talking to that. We're going to work with that and build some energy around that and watch it flow into form. Okay? So do you have something? What would you create? Do you know what it is? Tell me if you know. Okay? The nod of the head tells me, yes, I do. Okay, I'm ready to proceed here. Okay. So everybody in the room has something in mind, right? Okay. So get a good idea of that thing. It would be effective if you went and proceeded to close your eyes. And you don't have to. Okay? When you do this at home this week, I encourage you to, because it is going to be more powerful. It will keep you from being aware of what, is going on outside as the leaves come off the trees, or the cat runs across the room, or the dog bites the cat, or whatever it is that's happening in your world. Okay? So get a good picture of what that is. Now begin to look at that out there in front of you. A part of you, a part of your consciousness, a part of God's stuff has just gone forward into a future place of expression and is seeing that out there. And it is calling you. It has your name. It wants you to come forth and help it be in form. So begin to see that and begin to feel the excitement inside of you when you know that is on your way, when it is on its way. It's going to be yours right here, right now. Okay? Make money. Yes, money.
Make believe.
Make believe. Make believe. Make believe. Okay? Because, when we don't believe, what are we doing, guys? We're doubting God. Is anyone in here big enough to do that? I didn't think so. Okay. Yeah, that's a different twist on it, isn't it? But don't limit the divine, Don't think, that can't happen for me, that can't be mine. Because when you do that, you simply cut God off at the knees. And I don't want to do that, okay? I don't want to cut off the God stuff within. I don't want to cut off that greater yet to be. No, heck no. If it wants to give to me, come on, baby. I'm all yours. So begin to see that thing and literally feel your energy going forward into that future expression and feel the intensity of that, okay? Feel how much that is warming up and how exciting it is, all right? Now, what you are going to do is begin to pull the energy of that back toward you, okay? And then as it comes to you and you feel that, send it back out there. So what you are doing is you are creating a vortex. Do you know what that word means? That is an amazing word. The word vortex means, I gotta find my definition from the dictionary. Yeah, vortex is a whirling mass. Now in the dictionary they don't talk about energy. It talks about air or water or even fire being the stuff of a vortex. But what are air and water and fire? It's all energy, isn't it? It's all energy, okay? So a vortex is simply something that is moving around and around and around with ever greater intention and greater speed coming into form. You know what a whirlpool looks like, right? Yeah, everybody's seen that. You know what a tornado looks like? That's a vortex. Okay? So you are creating a tornado of potential right here with what you want to see come into form. This is another definition of vortex. Irresistible force. So if you think it can't happen, go back to irresistible force. It is irresistible. If you stand clear in this, it will show up, okay? So begin to feel that intensity and pull that energy toward you. And when you feel it, send it back out into the future and feel it begin to create that thing you want to see in your life. What is it? Is it more money? Is it more time, more free time? Is it, a greater expression of love in a relationship or relationships or with a specific one or in a specific way? Or, whatever it is, begin to get more and more and more excited. And many of you are looking at me. I would tell you this exercise is better done when you're internal, when you're on the inner plane. But begin to really feel that, okay? Begin to really feel the presence of whatever it is. And do that every day. Do that for 5 minutes or more. Do it in the morning. Do it at night. Okay? Bring that stuff of your desire into form by creating it energetically. That is your mental equivalent. That is your script. Okay? That is what stands, what has to be present in order for that to manifest. Okay? So you have a homework assignment. Go from this place and every day do that for 5 minutes. Now, what happens if you're so potent, and you are, that by tomorrow at this time, you're like, it's already here. Okay? I've told you the story of walking out of my back door years ago, having heard the story about a practitioner in Asheville who literally created money falling from the sky. And like Ernest Holmes did when he heard about Christian Scientists, before he ever started Science of Mind, he realized if they could create healing, if anyone could, everyone could. And so I realized that if that practitioner could, this practitioner could. And I walked out my back door, and I got in my car, and I drove to the center, and I forgot all about it, and I walked in, and somebody walked out of the social hall and put a $100 bill in my hand and said, that's for your church. And I just about fainted. Okay. Yes, I really, and at 3 o'clock that afternoon I went, oh, I did that. Oh my God, I did that. Look how powerful I am. Okay? And that isn't me or being a practitioner or being anything else. How many of you have known somebody who lived in a state of fear all the time? Oh my God, this is going to happen, or this is going to happen, or this is going to happen. What did they create? Oh, it's stuff I didn't want to see. Okay? So in this exercise, all you were doing is taking that intensity of that vortex, and rather than allowing fear to be the overwhelming presence of it, you are saying, I'm going to claim what I want to see here. I came here to be. Okay? I didn't come here to wait. I came here to have. I didn't come here to think about it. I came here to do. Okay? So you go from this place and sit in that experience for 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night, and come back here next week and tell us what kind of miracle unfolded in your life. And get ready, baby, because it's on its way. I love you. Thank you.